Wake up, wake up. It is Friday, January the 17th. We're talking Niner ball. We're talking NFL playoff ball. We're talking Brock Purdy trade? No, say it ain't so. We'll talk about it all right now.
Yeah, we got some things to wonder about. We got a little international daydreaming to do. We have yet another, that would be a really good idea. That was the dumbest idea ever. This is the really best idea ever. That's the dumbest idea ever. Conversation around Brock Purdy once again to have today. It should be a fun show. Welcome. It is a Friday wake up here. Like and subscribe. Thanks to Sam's Chowder House for being our sponsor. I don't know what you're doing this weekend, but a trip down to Half Moon Bay for a little chowder sounds like a great idea. I mean, we got good football on, stress-free for most people in Northern California. So you can walk away from a game, go get a bowl of chowder, get a lobster roll, be very, very happy with your whole weekend. And we didn't get a very good wild card weekend, Larry, but I think it sets up a really good divisional round. We got interesting storylines. We got history on the line. We got matchups that, we need this to happen to produce an iconic Super Bowl. If we're going to get a Bills and Lions, if we're going to see the Chiefs really try to three-peat for the first time in NFL history, we got an MVP battle and debate that's about as interesting an MVP battle, debate, and set up to be a football game as we've ever had. So this is a really, really good weekend, man. It really is. But let's start, Larry, with a tweet that you said is, blowing up the world. What do we got now? What's the rumor out there? What is Brock about to either do or be signed for or be traded to or give cars to? What's going on now?
Well, I'll share the screen. This is a tweet. Now, granted, we're just having fun with this because I don't think there's anything to this, but the more I think about it, the more I think it makes a lot of sense from at least Tennessee's standpoint. This is 49ers and NFL News 24/7 at 49ers Sports Talk. Before we, let's take a look at who they are. They have at least 37.2 followers, and it says like opinionated, sarcasm. So I don't know if it's a serious thing. I don't know enough about it. If anybody does, they follow me, so they've got great taste. Other than that, I don't know what to say. But they put out a trade scenario. I think this was yesterday. And this trade scenario tweet has gotten 324,000 views. And it says, Titans get Brock Purdy. 49ers get the Titans' first pick in the draft. And then it says, would you do this trade if you are San Francisco? #Niners. And it's really interesting, Damon, because you and I know, having done sports talk in this medium and in radio for 3 decades now almost, that when you put out something like this, I always like to take a quick perusal of the comments just to take a look, right? And you've got people who are like, this is outrageous. The Titans would never trade the first pick in the draft for Jimmy Garoppolo Part 2, that kind of stuff. And then you have people going, that's outrageous. There's no way the 49ers would trade their starting quarterback for, just a first pick in the draft, and then who's going to be their quarterback? And
it's unthinkable in both directions.
Right. And it's people that are, ripping it on both sides. The Titans would never do this. The 49ers would never do this. I mean, so it is, to me, it is a little interesting. Why? Okay, let's talk about it for a second. Tennessee has blown out their GM, Ran Carthon, blew out the head coach, looking for a new regime, right? Or did they blow out the head coach? Yeah. Now, who is the head coach in Tennessee?
They haven't hired, right? They're looking, they're interviewing. I mean, Ran Carthon is out. I know that.
Rand's out, and I think they're looking for a total new regime. But I don't know. I think their head coach is in place.
With Brian Callahan.
Yeah, Callahan's in place. So the head coach is in place, but they're looking for a new GM. They have the first pick in the draft. They don't have a quarterback because who's their quarterback? I mean, who would you say is the Titans quarterback?
Will Levis.
Yeah, I mean, but he hasn't been good. So they're badly in need of a new quarterback. And yet they drafted Malik Willis.
Already traded him.
Yeah, they've already moved on from him. They haven't shown a propensity to be able to pick a quarterback. They really haven't had a good one in a while. They have Mason Rudolph behind Will Levis. So let's just say you're Tennessee, and now you're looking at the draft prospects. And I don't know about you, Damon, but I saw Shedeur Sanders 2 or 3 times this year. I think Shedeur Sanders sucks. I mean, I thought Caleb Williams wasn't very good, but I think Caleb Williams is awesome compared to Shedeur Sanders. I know he had great numbers. He completed 74%, 37 touchdowns, 10 picks, a 168 rating. You know, I mean, he played well at times this year statistically, but I saw him late in the year in the bowl game. He looked like a circus. He was all over the place. So let's just say you're Tennessee and you're looking at Shedeur Sanders and Cam Ward, and you start doing your due diligence on who these guys are. You know, you meet them, and all of a sudden you just decide, you know what? We like this guy a little bit more than that guy, but we're not loving either guy. And you're getting down to it. You need a quarterback, and the draft's getting closer. What do? Well, 24-year-old, 25-year-old Brock Purdy is out there if we want him. We could move the pick for Brock Purdy. He's 20. You know, we know he can play in the NFL. We don't have to wonder, though he did backslide a little bit this year. It would be a high price to pay for Purdy. It would be a high offer for the 49ers to have to be faced with as far as, do you keep Brock Purdy or, you know, and then what would the Niners do if the Niners had the first pick? Would they draft Shedeur? Would they draft Cam Ward? Would they start trading down the thing and go a different, you know, there's also all kinds of blue chippers, right? Well, Abdul Carter, Travis Hunter, Mason Graham.
All right.
You know what I'm saying?
All right. So,
and then you could go quarterback. You don't have to go quarterback in the draft. I was looking at the free agent list of quarterbacks last night. It's pretty extensive. I mean, it's a lot of guys. If Kyle wants Kirk Cousins, boom, Kirk Cousins. Kyle wants Aaron Rodgers, boom, Aaron Rodgers. If you want Russell Wilson, you could probably get Russell Wilson. If Kyle really loved Mac Jones, Mac Jones. You really loved Zach Wilson, Zach Wilson. Justin Fields.
All right.
There's a bunch.
All right, there's a lot to unpack right here. Let's just start with what we're looking at. We're looking at a thought balloon. We don't know if there's anything to this at all. But in just the world of the thought exercise that this is, it is something else that Brock Purdy is now being suggested as a possible trade candidate for the number 1 overall pick in the draft. If that isn't proof of return on investment, if I can take the last pick in a draft and flip him for a number 1 overall pick in the draft, that just lets you know that the 49ers have done a hell of a job with Brock Purdy, right?
Well, I mean, that's official. I mean, it's been stamped official. They found a gem of a person and a player with the last pick in the draft.
What's awful is the amount of people who have just wanted to just crap all over it and have missed one of the single best sports stories you'll ever have put in front of you in your life. But, you know, some people just want to complain as much as possible that they don't want to appreciate what is a remarkable sports story. Brock Purdy's a freaking Disney movie taking place right in front of us. And if you want to complain about it the entire way through, I guess that's your right. He's not going anywhere. I don't think the 49ers would do that trade for the number 1 unless there was a like Andrew Luck level number 1, no doubt about it, talent out there, which there isn't in this draft. If the Niners were to execute this trade, which I don't think is real at all, it would create a sequence of trading back that Larry should make both your nipples diamond rock hard as much of a draft nick as you are. If you have
all I would say is how much time do they have? How much time do they have? Do they have a lot of time? I mean, the one thing we don't know is like Jed could have said, hey, you guys I believe in you the same way I believed in you in day 1. Don't even think about time, guys. Well, in that case, that would be great. And that would be do the right thing. Don't worry about hurrying up. But if by chance Jed said, hey, Kyle, John, You guys have been here for 8 years. You got 2 more. You got 2 more years to make some serious progress and show me that we are on the verge of a title, or get me a title, or I think I'm going to go in a different direction. If I knew I had 2 years, or if you knew you had 2 years, would you play your hand differently here than if you just have a blank check? Like, hey, man, you're the man.
I don't think a reset at the position of quarterback is a really good way to ensure a lot of success over the next 2 years, right? I don't think Shanahan does either. So,
well, it depends, Damon, because Brock Purdy didn't play great this year. If you could turn him into the first pick in the draft, and you have the 11th pick, and you could sign Aaron Rodgers, who played pretty well this year, even though it was, he's in the twilight of his career. You don't think that would help the 49ers to have Aaron Rodgers and 2 picks in the top 11?
I think I'd rather stick with Brock Purdy at that point.
All right. I'm just saying I don't care if you're the biggest Brock Purdy fan. I don't care if you have tons of confidence in Brock Purdy. You got to at least have a meeting and sit down in the room. Shanahan, Lynch, R.J. Gillen, Tariq Ahmad, all their personnel people, and just be like, guys, we're at the literal fork in the road. Do we go all? Because here's, from the conversations I've had with people that are in the know on the Brock Purdy contract situation, it's going to be the high number.
Oh, yeah.
So the idea of, like, I've heard people say, it could be 40, it could be 45.
It won't be. It's going to be a number it's going to be a high 50, if not kissing 60 number.
Might be higher than 60. So, if it comes right down to it, now I don't know, everybody's got their sources. If my sources are accurate, and I think they are, and he's going to get north of 60, and you're the Niner fan who's been watching all these different content creators, and you've popped into the chat and you've thrown in there, don't pay him 60 plus million. Well, now you got an escape clause. You got an escape hatch. He wants 60 plus million. And Titans are calling, and they're really, really nervous about Shador and Cam Ward, and they want Brock for that first pick. You're just gonna immediately no, or hey, let's chew on that. We'll get back to you. Or hell yes, let's keep talking. We got something here. Those are really the 3 ways the Niners could approach this if it were legit.
I think it's more likely that the Titans are shopping the number 1 pick than executing this trade that we saw on the internet. Another thing too, if Ran Carthon were still in the building, maybe this would have a little bit more gravity to it, but I don't think that you get rid of the GM who had firsthand working knowledge of Brock Purdy, only to then go ahead and trade the number 1 overall pick for Brock Purdy. Like that, it's not.
I think Rand might have. I think Rand bolted. Was he here for Brock? I thought Rand bolted right when.
Was Brock it right at the time? It was about 2-3 years ago. So
I don't know. Maybe
the timeline doesn't cross over very, very well. All I know is that Tennessee is what Amy Adams Strunk, or whatever her name is the owner of Tennessee. This woman changes her mind about the direction she wants her team to be marching in based on the uniforms the Houston Texans are wearing. Like when the Houston Texans wear the old Houston Oilers throwback, she gets very angry as the Titans owner. And, she wants to scuttle having the number 1 overall pick just to beat Houston. So, because they're wearing those uniforms and it bothers her. Like, I think the Titans are about to be a mess under what is going to be, it sounds like she's like a female Jerry Jones. She wants to be highly involved, and she is reactionary, kind of an owner you don't really want owning your team. So I just don't, I'm not putting anything into this. I think that this is a good internet thought bubble, creates a lot of engagement. Like you said, 300 people are retweeting it, which is probably why the person tweeted it in the first place. But I don't think that the number 1 pick, how about this? I don't think any quarterback who's about to be drafted is about to have a better season than Brock Purdy.
I mean, I'm not sure. I know Brock Purdy's better than Shador, but Cam Ward is pretty intriguing. He's 6'2", 225, roughly the same size as Brock Purdy. He had a year this year. He completed 67%, 39 touchdowns, 7 picks. He also ran 60 times for 204 yards and 4 touchdowns. So the guy had 43 touchdowns, 7 picks at Miami this year. I think he's the best quarterback in the draft. Personally, I think by the time the draft rolls around, Jalen Milroe will have replaced Shador Sanders as the number 2 quarterback, and I think there'll be people out there that like Milroe and Quinn Ewers and Jackson Dart more than Shador. So we'll see where Shador's market goes. Yeah, I mean, obviously this is not a report of a trade. This is just some guy floating an idea. But if you look at this from Tennessee's perspective for a second, you're the Tennessee Titans. You've already tried to draft a quarterback. You've gotten this thing screwed up. You're looking at 2 quarterbacks that are talented, but you're not. It's not considered a great year for quarterbacks, and there could definitely be some major growing pains, and they could be a bust. So, and I think Shador would be a bust, to be completely honest. So, that's what they're looking at. And so the only thing Brock Purdy gives you, he gives you a low ceiling, but he also gives you a high floor. Like, there will be no, oh my God, we don't have anybody. No, you have Brock Purdy. He's a great guy. He's a great leader for the fans will love him, this and that, blah, blah, blah. The team will love him. He's a great dude. He works hard. He's your hardest working guy. So it would be a safe escape hatch for Tennessee. You got to remember, a lot of these bad teams that wind up with the first pick in the draft, it brings them a whole ton of stress.
Oh, totally.
Because it's like the focus of the NFL world is upon us, and we can't, and the burning eyes of that. Some teams thrive in that, but a lot of teams cower and wither in that. And if the Titans are one of those teams, I don't know. I mean, it would. I agree with you, Damon. I wouldn't make this trade. Like, people are asking me, would you make this trade? I would not make this trade. But if you're the 49ers and Greg Papa and Tim Ryan, on their football hour just a week ago said, maybe the Niners are more interested in Brock in that high 40 range. In that high 40 range is what I heard Papa say. Okay, but let's just say, they're very close to the team. Let's just say that's the team's plan. We'd like Brock in that high 40 range. And let's say Brock's agent, Kyle Strongen, is like, no. That we don't go back in time. We're in January of 2025, and the price starts at 60. And you're the Niners. And let's just say Greg and Tim know the Niners, are privy to the Niners' thinking. And they know the Niners don't want to pay north of 50, and so they'd like that negotiation to start in the high 40s and maybe get to 50. And that, to me, if one side wants north of 60 and the 49ers are starting their offer around 40, 45, that almost is in the impasse territory, is it not? That seems like different worlds. Like, you're over there, we're over here. That's the only way I would entertain. If I'm the Niners, the only way I even entertain this would be if we're at a true, what I just described as an impasse situation.
I just don't think we're there. I don't think at any point in time we're going to see like a contentious, angry negotiation between the 49ers and Brock Purdy. At least I hope we don't. And if we do, shame on them for letting all that come to public light if that does happen. Look, he's going to be making $55, $60 million a year. That's just it. It's market price. These are the price of apples. You wanted an apple? This is the price of an apple. That's it. I mean, that's what the market says. And the league operates in a way where somebody who's about to reset the market has an obligation to do that for the rest of the players in the league and not leaving an awful lot of money on the table. Unless you're older in your career, you're Tom Brady, you can call your own shots and say, I'm doing it this way, and they're going to grease me on the back end. I mean, look, the whole point is, Brock, how can we satisfy you generationally from a wealth standpoint and still have all the mechanics we need to operate a good team around you. If calling your number 40 and front loading or back loading or guaranteed through signing bonuses or years or guaranteed, I mean, to me, if I'm Brock Purdy, I don't care anything that isn't a guaranteed dollar. It's all moving parts around guaranteed dollars. So if you're saying your annual average value is 40, but you're guaranteed 200 million, I'd be cool with that. You know, like we can work around that. I don't care. I just make sure that guaranteed money is a big, fat, juicy number that means me and my beautiful wife are never going to think about money ever again in our lives. We don't have to worry about it. So, I mean, there's going to be so much hand wringing. There already has been. We've been doing this for 2 years now. Like, I'm just over it. He's going to get paid when he's going to get paid. Not a single person watching this is going to pay. You're just going to show up and clap for your team on game day anyways. Like, to me, it's just not that big of a deal. Brock Purdy, in his first 3 years, has played to a level of quarterbacking excellence that says he's going to get paid whether you like it or not. It's just going to happen. And so people
first of all, it's a huge deal because you're talking about a capped sport.
Right, but
yeah, and if this were the San Francisco Giants, what makes no impact on anything is what the Giants pay Blake Snell or Corbin Burns or Polar Bear. That makes no difference because there is no budget, there is no cap, there is no limit. Spend away. I mean, I guess there's competitive tax, this or that, luxury thresholds. But I mean, basically spend what you want, right? The Dodgers do, the Yankees do, and they flip the bird to everybody else. But in football, you pay your quarterback 45, you got a better chance to win than if you pay your quarterback 65.
I hear you.
There's $20 million of football players spread throughout your roster.
But there are ways to move all of these numbers around. Just because a number is locked in at 45 million or 60 million doesn't mean that number doesn't become ultimately manipulatable down the road. And it's just, again,
it's not manipulatable. It's a hard cap. It's just a deal where the cap goes up and, you can convert things around, but those numbers don't change. You're just spreading it a little bit over the cap over some more years, and the cap is going up. So you're spreading and the numbers going up. So those two mechanisms working together create this fluidity. But it's a hard cap, and make no mistake, the NBA is a soft cap, but the NFL is a hard cap.
Right.
And so there's you have what you have. So if you spend 15 million more than you should on your quarterback, that you're going to feel the impact of that.
We all know that the cap is very real and very imaginary, kind of all at the same time. You can work around what seems like an immovable object by just converting money from salary to signing bonus or workout bonuses. Like there's ways for smart teams to move money all around an NFL locker room, and it happens all the time. I don't even know if this is a good or bad example, but let's start with Dak Prescott because he's making so much money right now. Would you say that the Dallas Cowboys were untalented around him? Whatever kept the Dallas Cowboys out of the playoffs, I didn't think it was a lack of talent. Now you could say, well, they didn't have the money to go sign Derrick Henry, but that's not real.
They didn't have a running back. I mean, they didn't have a running back, so I don't know how talented they were.
They were pretty talented. They're pretty good. You can put good teams. By the way, this is a point that you yourself were making a few weeks ago on Twitter, that there are a lot of NFL teams with highly paid quarterbacks who have talented teams around them. Look at Josh Allen. Where's his team this weekend? Are they in the playoffs or not? Look at Lamar Jackson. He is one of the most highest paid guys in the world of football quarterbacking. Where's his team? Oh, that's right. They're playing Josh Allen's team. Patrick Mahomes makes an awful lot of bank. The Chiefs are trying to win a third Super Bowl in a row. The playoffs is littered with highly paid quarterbacks. So I'm not going to sit around and worry about it. Do you like the guy? Is that it? Do you like the player? My answer for Brock Purdy is, yeah, I like the player. I would want to keep the player. I think it's the right thing to do at this point in time in the 49ers competitive life cycle. If their championship window has closed, they're trying to open another one. I think they're going to find another opening faster with Brock than the next guy. I'll tell you, you would just, internet trade draft rumors, I thought I saw an interesting one on 49ers Web Zone this week where somebody who did a mock for A to Z Sports had the 49ers taking Kenneth Grant with the 11th overall pick to help that defensive line. But in the second round, they come back and select Ole Miss quarterback Jackson Dart at 43. What do you think of Jackson Dart to the Niners at 43?
Well, I mean, I don't think it makes sense. I mean, I don't think it makes sense. Why? Because why would you, in that scenario, you're keeping Brock Purdy. He's your starting quarterback. And now you're going to trade your second most valuable asset of the offseason for a guy who, if things break well, will never play. You're not in that scenario. That's not where that is a person who doesn't understand where the 49ers are roster wise, because the reality is that the Niners need a starter at Aaron Banks' spot.
Right.
They need a starter at center. They need a starter at Colton McKivitt's spot. So that's three starters that you need on your offensive line. Ayuk is probably done for the year. Debo could easily be traded, so you probably need a starting wide receiver. You only have one tight end, so you probably need another tight end. You know, your running back has got Achilles issues, so you probably could use a running back.
Right.
So, I mean, that's just on offense. You need a kicker.
You're the guy who says you got to have somebody who pushes Purdy. A second-round Jackson Dart is pushing Purdy from day one.
Yeah, but that's too much of an investment.
Okay, I agree.
Yeah,
I agree. But
you only have so many. You know, you only have so many You only have so many good pieces. So if you use your second best piece on a shiny backup quarterback, the year that you're also paying your starting quarterback $60 million, you're doing it wrong. I mean, you're doing it wrong. Now, you can find other. I mean, I do believe you got to keep challenging Brock Purdy. I do believe that, you know, you got to keep looking for franchise quarterbacks. I mean, just for the standpoint of, look what the Brock Purdy draft choice meant for your franchise. Look what it meant. So drafting a quarterback every year that you think potentially, you know, take your shot. Take a look, handicap the quarterback class every year, find the guy that you think can be a star, and draft him. And unless he's a first or second round draft choice, and in that case, you can't really draft him. You got to just
the guy who's actually going to have enough talent to push Purdy probably isn't coming from the back of the draft. So now you're going to have to go out and
he came from the back of the draft.
He came from the back of the draft. He did. Again, it's hard for lightning to hit the same spot twice.
But you also have all these free agent reclamation projects. In the same way Sam Darnold chose you, Zach Wilson could choose you. And to me, Zach Wilson would be a great addition for the Niners. Why? Because he's got talent. I really think Shanahan really liked him. I know he wanted desperately to be a 49er when he came out of BYU. He had a terrible run with the Jets. He made bad decisions, but he kind of saved himself in Denver this summer, and only Bo Nix playing really well kept Zach Wilson off the field. I think of Zach Wilson, who has legit talent, in this system as the backup, watching Brock Purdy's processing, and not just processing, but his whole, preparation throughout the week is exactly what he needs. And I think you could get him for, I don't know, somewhere between $5 and $8 million, something like that. It's probably a couple $1 million more than you want to spend, but not.
Going back to the question that started all of this, the Tennessee Titans, Brock Purdy, number one. The Tennessee Titans would be best served, I think, not taking a swing at Brock Purdy, who you could say like Brock is a little bit of damaged goods, or maybe he's not as good as you guys think he is. So all of that is real. I get it. But the Tennessee Titans would do so much better by taking the number 1 overall pick, taking a blue chipper, avoiding either the Cam Ward or Shador can't actually play, and going and get one of those reclamation project quarterbacks that you're talking about. That's what the Titans should do and have the first pick in the draft.
So who do you say they should take?
I mean, if the Tennessee Titans, what if the Vikings are seriously about to say, thanks for the memory, Sam Darnold? Tennessee Titans should sign Sam Darnold.
Yeah, well, and they probably
$40 million
will. They probably will. What they'll probably do is they'll probably get cold feet on Shador, get cold feet on Cam, trade from 1 to 3, let the Giants take a quarterback, and then drop down and either take the other quarterback at 3 or maybe more likely a blue chip player, and as you said, go for any number of guys. I mean, could be Justin Fields, could be Sam Darnold, could be Russell Wilson. I mean, that's the other thing with the Niners is that it doesn't have to be like if the Niners don't want to pay Brock 60, and I would pay him. Okay, I would pay him. I don't know if I want to pay him 60, but I would rather keep Brock than trade him. But if by chance his price or his ask got out of control, the Niners have old options, young options, new options, old options. This is actually probably of all the years I can remember, Damon, I don't know that I've ever seen an off season, even though there's not a great quarterback class in the draft. There's a lot of choices as far as free agency. I mean, there's a lot of choices. I mean, you got the entire 21 draft class has been quit upon. Trey Lance, you want him? Zach Wilson, you want him? Mac Jones, you want him? I mean, you could almost have anybody except for Trevor Lawrence out of that draft. It was only a few years ago. These guys were like 24, 25 years old. So you got the young group and guys like Justin Fields, really talented. Then you got older guys like Kirk Cousins, like Rodgers, like Russell Wilson. So, if you were in a go now mode, you could go with a veteran, or you could, I'm just saying it's an option. And if people are going to lose their mind, if the Niners are part of the group that really, we don't know how the Niners feel. All we know is they want to pay them. But if the Niners are what Greg and Tim kind of intimated, that they would like to have him around $45 million and his agent's like $60 million. I don't know about you, Damon, but as far as I'm concerned, a holdout at quarterback is the equivalent of a bullet to the Niners' playoff chances next year.
Yeah, that can't happen.
Can't happen.
Really, dude, a holdout to left tackle. No holdouts. This is going to be a no holdout summer for the San Francisco 49ers. I'm requesting that one.
But quarterback is critical, right?
Yes, 100%. How about this, though? How about, if it really comes down to brass tacks, and this is, everyone's getting uppity at the negotiation table, the 49ers do have a mechanism here that they can pull out and just say, look, it's called a franchise tag. And Brock, we're using it on you. That's that.
It's prohibitive. I mean, you're going to pay top dollar just because you can't get a deal done.
But you're not locked into the extremely long contract that you think would also come with the $60 million price point. So yeah. You could just say, Brock, this is a work in progress. We love you. But at this point in time, for the financial flexibility of the team and your demands and what we think you're worth, we love you. We're franchise tagging you. I know franchise tag is an F word among players, but it's also a very, very nice paycheck to be bringing home. You'll be very comfortable. Don't complain too much. And that's what we're going to do. Like the 49ers don't have to give Brock Purdy anything this year right now. They don't. They can let him play on his last year deal and franchise tag him.
Yeah, it's not like he's leaving. It's not like he's walking out the door. He's not walking out the door. Hey, by the way, we have a breaking story here.
What's that?
Let me show you this.
You got me nervous. Is it good? Am I going to be happy or sad? This isn't Bob Uecker dying again, is it? Man, doesn't that suck? No. Bob Uecker died yesterday. That sucks.
RSF 49ers, my man Raj says 49er quarterback coach Brian Griese has declined the Jets head coaching interview request.
Hey,
interesting.
Okay.
That's interesting. So Griese doesn't want to even interview with the Jets for a head coaching job.
I mean, what that sounds like? You know what that sounds like? That sounds like
tell me.
It sounds like I'm buddies with Robert Saleh, and Robert Saleh has told me stories about these people that make me go, nah, I'll wait for the next opportunity.
You know what? That's a great call. And it may not even be that he's buddies with Robert Saleh, because I don't know if there was overlap there. But you know what? Robert Saleh has buddies in that coaching room.
Yeah.
And I guarantee you they've talked to Robert Saleh. And I guarantee you Robert Saleh has told Jets stories about Woody Johnson out of school. And it's filtered back to Greasy, and Greasy wants no part of Woody Johnson. I mean, it is a head coaching gig, and the guy wasn't even a coach at all until 2 years ago.
Right.
So it would be an incredible, rapid rise to the top.
I mean, here's the thing. Even if he did interview for the job, he wouldn't get it.
Yeah, I mean, it might just be Greasy going, hey, man, I don't want to get on a cross-country flight and do the whole thing. You know, I mean, it's like, who knows? And I don't know. I mean, I would think I'm impressed by Greasy when I talk to him. I know he's sometimes cagey and he can sometimes be prickly with the media and this and that.
I like
but
that. I like that.
I mean, I do too. I mean, I don't have a problem with that because I've sat on the other side of this thing and I've stared at the media and they look like vultures when you're on that side looking over. So I don't have a problem with him being cagey with us or even being impatient with us. But I like the impact he's had on Brock, on Tanner Mordecai. I like when I hear guys reference him, the kinds of things that he adds to the mix. I think he's been a real nice addition as a quarterback coach, Damon. I don't know that he's got an upside as far as like, I don't know if he's like a future OC or not. I wouldn't go that far. But as far as Brian Greasy's eye for talent and wisdom and open-mindedness and intelligence and aggressiveness, he's got a lot of the traits. Like I was talking to him about Tanner Mordecai, and he was telling me how Luke Fickell is his buddy, and that Luke Fickell called him and was like, dude,
this is the
of
guy.
All the guys that I have coming out in this draft, the guy that I would literally stand on the table and argue for is Tanner Mordecai. And so that kind of got him in the Niner building. Now, it's interesting, isn't it, that they have really downplayed. They didn't give him a shot at the end of the year. But they kind of have consistently maintained that they like him. I've talked to Brock about him, and Brock's like, dude, Tanner's a baller. When you watch him on the practice field, Damon, he's got more of an arm than the Niners' other quarterbacks, and he is faster than the Niners' other quarterbacks. So it is kind of a weird thing to watch.
I really wanted to see him against Arizona. You didn't play him against Detroit? All right. You should have absolutely started this guy against Arizona instead of giving Josh Dobbs, one more, whatever that was. And Dobbs played pretty
audition.
Well
audition. Yeah, Dobbs got a little audition. But I'll say this about Dobbs. Dobbs was a good soldier this year, and he didn't make a stink publicly when they chose Allen over him in the Green Bay game. And I think that was just Kyle's way of saying, hey, man, thank you.
Well, and look, the way that players get treated by franchises is a franchise's reputation. And the Niners got a really good one. They really do. The opposite of the New York Jets, right? Look, I think that the 49ers don't need to do anything so extreme. Like it just feels like there's a reasonable decision to be made in the middle when it comes to Brock Purdy. And if Team Brock is insisting the $60 million, again, it's workable, not desirable, but that is even workable. So I'm Dave Lombardi, he loves his charts. He's got a new chart that's up right now that just has, Brock being compared in his first 3 years in the league to other quarterbacks in their first 3 years in the league. Brock's numbers are incredible. They're not good. They're incredible. Talk about what Brian Greasy and Kyle Shanahan have done. They have groomed one of the most incredible beginnings of a career, especially when you factor in its starting point is Mr. Irrelevant, that we've ever seen.
Is this the chart you're referring to?
There it is. That's right there. There's an awful lot of numbers. You got to squint.
To say that Dave works harder than us. This is us. This is Dave. Look at that. Look at that.
Yeah. We'll play a video of Sam's Chowder House a little bit later on. That's about
Look at that. I have not done that much work in the last 10 years.
That looks like the periodic table. I don't. Are we talking about elements anymore? Is one of those guys sulfur? I don't.
Yeah, exactly. This right here is lawrencium, and this is boron. Yeah, it's the
darker the green. The darker the green, the
better.
It
is that was my buddy who smoked a lot of grass in college used to say that. The darker the green. Okay.
Nice. I always looked for crystals. I wanted crystals like it was freaking Frosted Flakes. That's what I'm looking for.
I was looking for this orange over here, actually. The orange under Trevor Lawrence. That was the color.
That's Trevor Lawrence having a not so good category right there. That's why Trevor Lawrence isn't working out right there. That red box. I don't know what that red box represents, but I know you don't want a red box.
CPOE. It's CPOE, damn it.
CPOE. You don't want a weak CPOE.
I've always said that. I've always said if your CPOE isn't going, you're not going.
You're going to be CPO if you're CPOE.
Yeah. I mean, it's not good.
All right.
I don't like I definitely don't like a negative 2.40% CPOE. I mean, I hope Dave doesn't think we're making fun of him because we're not. But it is awesome the array of information that he will put out via his account.
So again, you look at those numbers, and it's funny because Dave even puts them up. He's like, I know this is going to piss off a lot of you, but here
comes a chart.
Yeah, here comes a chart.
The ones I love are the 4-sided charts where what I love about it, Damon, is the simplicity of it. If you're any good, you're in the top right.
Yes. Yeah.
I need a chart that has some constants to it. So it's like, oh, wait a second. Good is top right, bad is bottom left. Great. Now I got it.
I don't know what does red box mean? Is red box good or bad? I don't know, but top right is really
There's
good.
all kinds of
Bottom
jokes we could throw in there,
bad.
but we won't.
Don't. Don't do it. Okay, so here's how Damon and Larry cover the NFL. You want to go on a trip? Because the other story that we have here today, and we do know that the 49ers are a candidate to maybe play an international game because the Cleveland Browns are playing an international game and the 49ers are at the Browns. So there's a 1 in 6-7 chance that they are one of those teams. And by the way, the NFL.
I think. Well, they might be. I don't know about the Browns, but I think the one that's in Berlin is. I think it's the Colts.
No, the Colts yesterday were announced they're going to. Yeah, they're going to Berlin. The Browns.
That's what you said.
Sorry,
you said Berlin.
No, I'm sorry. The Browns are going to London. The Colts yesterday are announced to Berlin. That is
right, and the Niners play the Colts.
That's another road opponent. So then there are now 2 different possibilities of international play. We've already been reached out to, Larry, on Twitter by some London-based 49er groups. We're going to have to Ich bin ein Berliner if they actually get sent to Germany. And
I want to go, man. I want to go. I want to go.
International trip. We're going.
I want to go. I absolutely want to go. All my good friends in London, I really enjoyed working with Will Gavin on Talk Sport a couple years ago and getting to know, all the guys. I mean, I've had a few of them on the show, and, I'm part of the UK 49er London fan base, on social media. And I love those people. They're passionate. They're on the other side of the pond. They come on over. I've had a chance to meet many of them, Lee Gowland, Paul Hope, Flackers, and a bunch of them. I mean, they're great. They're great Niner fans. They have unbelievable passion. London has become very much, Damon, as you know, a 49ers hotbed. Yeah. The Niners were awarded London and Mexico City as the 2 international markets that they can market directly to. And I believe maybe Berlin, I forget who it was, but I think it was like Kansas City, Minnesota, a couple other teams. But yeah, I mean, it would be incredibly exciting. I was actually told from my London 49er fans that every time, now this is pretty interesting, every time the NFL plays in the UK, whether it be at Tottenham Hotspur or Wembley, there's a gigantic contingent of German fans who come across the border and show up for it. He said Germany is the most passionate non-American hotspot for American football.
Well, it's
I'd love to go check it out.
Dude, it's the work that Tom Sula and the Rhine Fire laid down all those years ago. Tom Sula still paying off for the 49ers.
And what it really is Joe Montana.
Well, that's it, Larry. So the very first time I ever left the United States was to meet Jillian in Amsterdam, and then we took a train to Paris. We got engaged, and then we went to London. We took you take the channel. You take a train into London. You go under the water, and the crossing there, and within 5 minutes of getting off the train in London, I see a Joe Montana jersey. 5 minutes before I saw any soccer kits, before I saw anything. The first jersey I saw in London was a Joe Montana jersey. So yeah, the Niners are a really big deal. By the way, the Miami Dolphins are going to Spain, and I'll tell you, man, the way that the NFL rolls this out, they really are the smartest animal in the forest. They don't let you know what the game is going to be. They let you know who the host team will be. And then you got all these other fan base. Ooh, do we have a plan? Do we have a London trip? Do we have a Spain trip? It gets everybody. The NFL is great at getting people talking about the NFL at all times. Why give you the whole story when I can give you half the story, let you guys try to fill in the blanks, and then a week later, we'll come in and fill in that blank for you. They're so freaking smart when it comes to their marketing.
It's just a monster. I mean, they can just do what they can do and take whatever they want. Oh, the NBA's got a good thing going over here on Christmas. Oh, kick them off their perch, throw them back to nothingness, and we'll take that day. Thanks for giving us. Thanks for scouting it out for us, guys. See ya. You know what I mean? That's basically what happened. Look at the NBA ratings on Christmas until the NFL jumped into Christmas. The NBA owned Christmas. The NBA was Christmas Day, and Christmas in the NBA were it was almost like opening night of the NBA was Christmas, and then all of a sudden the NFL's like, yeah, you know what? We decided that we're gonna play on Christmas, and then suddenly the NBA is getting regular season ratings for their Christmas. It's amazing how that works. How the NFL just is like, we'll take whatever we want. Well, Saturdays, we'll take Saturdays. Mondays, Monday, Thursday. Doesn't matter. The only thing the NFL is cool about, they're like, we'll stay off of Friday Night Lights. We're going to stay away from high school football. We ain't fighting high school football.
They will eventually. They'll come for high school.
Eventually, they'll say, you choose between your son and Brock Purdy. Anyway, let's hit some supers, should we?
One other thing, and it's just we don't have to spend much time on this, but it's just we're both George Kittle guys. We like the way George Kittle plays. We like the life that he's living. He seems to have it figured out. He's a happy person. He's got a great wife. He's got a beautiful marriage. He's George Kittle pretty much has the entire world by the short and curlies. And he is one of 3 up for a major NFL award, the NFL USAA. Have nominated him, Aaron Jones of the Vikings, and Chargers defensive end Morgan Fox as the 3 finalists for the 14th annual Salute to Service Award, which honors long-standing and unwavering commitment to honoring the military community. We got love for the military for sure. My dad was a veteran, so this is an award that I'm going to tell you right now. I can just predict by who else is nominated. George Kittle's going to win it. If USAA wants any bounce on this person who's going to win it, the other 2 guys could not be identified by their own fan bases at their own fan fests, and George Kittle's a household name. It's like when you're watching an episode of Star Trek and you got Captain Kirk, Mr. Spock, and Sulu, like all the big names, and then this one random, you've never seen him before, Ensign Jones going down to the planet. Well, we all know who ain't gonna make it back. The main characters are coming. This guy you never heard of is probably not coming back to the Enterprise. I think George Kittle's gonna end up winning this. And look, he's a great guy. He's everything that's right with football. George Kittle, every team needs George Kittle on that team. He's so good for the sport. I hope he wins it. He's a good guy. That's good news. We can go to the super chats now, Larry.
Well, let me just piggyback that for a sec, Damon, because I totally agree with everything you just said. And I know nobody has any time for any sweet talk. Everything's got to be ripping this and analyzing that. But I will say this about George. I care a lot about the character of the people that I root for and associate with, period. If you have faulty character, I don't necessarily want to associate with you. I'm not judging you because I've got all kinds of flawed friends. I'm flawed myself. But I just don't, I do value people that have high character. I had a family write me a letter on social media about a month ago, Damon, and their son had a really advanced form of cancer, and he was he is a big Kittle fan, and they had reached out to George, and it's like sometimes it's hard to get connected to the players. They somehow got connected to George. George, not only did he sent this child all kinds of 49er gear, jerseys, helmets, and signed this and that, gloves, and all kinds of 49er gear. Just sent him a full-on box of tons of great stuff. He also took the time and taped like a private message for the boy. And the dad contacted me and he said, look, it's not going to make our son any healthier or anything, but I know you're in the locker room because I see your interviews on YouTube. If you could, I don't want any headlines. I don't want any attention. I don't want anybody to know about this. But if you could just go up to George and just thank him for us, if you could not apologize, but if you could thank him for his efforts and his kindness, from our family to him, that would mean the world to me. So I went up to George and I told him, I said, hey, George, I know you do a lot of these things. There's this kid and his parents contacted me and, he's obviously very sick, but you took the time and I just, they just wanted me to reach out to you and say, thank you, man. Thank you. And he's just like, absolutely. And we talked in the locker room for a minute just about, what makes him take that approach. And George is very, he's big, rough and tumble football player, but he's really got a sensitive side, and he's really good at remembering where he came from. He's really good at remembering that he was the kid that was super diehard, loving football and looked up to these guys. And so he's not Charles Barkley going, I am not a role model. He's embracing his role model status, and he's saying, you know what? I absolutely am a role model, and it's a role that I cherish, I enjoy, and that I want to thrive in, and I want to use it for good. And so way to go, George, man. Way to go. He's great player. There's a lot of great players. He is a great person.
He's always the guy walking over to the disabled kid, kneeling down next to him in his wheelchair and making some eye contact and making a connection. He's always the guy who is signing for the veterans and the military families that come out, for first responders,
shaking everybody's hand.
Everybody's hand. Yeah. I mean, before and after practice, sometimes those guys want to go get a meal, a shower. They don't want to stick around, and he always sticks around. And George Kittle's he's one of the real ones, man. So
very good guy.
Whether he wins this award or not, he's certainly deserving of it. So,
yeah, no question. And let's just say this too. The police blotter, we find out about the guys in the police blotter, but the NFL is packed with tons of great guys. And it's really sad that the 1% of the, the bad guys get the attention, but in reality, there's some terrific people in that room.
Every locker room has more good people than bad people in it. Every locker room.
Yeah. And they're all about the kids, the fans. So anyway, let's hit the supers. We've got a bunch. Fuji Simeon says, it pains me to say this, but congrats, Larry, for SI sweeping Sacred Heart and winning the Bruce Mahoney Trophy. Reardon would beat SI Hello Kitties. The SI Hello Kitties.
So is the trophy just between basketball and football, or is there another sport that tilts it where you can win 2 out of 3? Is it baseball too? Is there a Mahoney game in baseball?
Yeah. Well, it's whoever wins 2 out of 3 in varsity basketball, football, and baseball.
Okay.
So SI won in football and they won in basketball. So there you go. Go Cats, get 'em Cats. Oh, red and blue will all be true. We'll wave our banners to the sky. Red and blue, we'll fight for you. We'll fight for St. Ignatius High. And victory will be our goal. And we will reach it if we try. We're going to fight. We're going to fight. We're going to fight, 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 fight.
I'm so
Go
sorry,
Cats.
everyone.
Get 'em Cats. Go get 'em Cats.
On behalf of Wake Up, I would like to apologize to everyone who just had to sit through that, who's not Fuji Simeon.
Yes. We are SI. We are SI. I can go all day.
I know you can.
Hey, you, there's nothing you can do. I said you just can't stop that cat machine.
Ruckum, get the ball and really fight. That was
the one that we never used, but I used to get a kick out of when I would watch some of the SI used to host like a junior high tournament, and the junior high kids would all fill the gym and everything, and their cheer was like, what was it? It was just so classic. It was like I just zoned on it, but they had just the most basic cheer, and it's like, it'll come back to me, but
go through the supers. It'll come back to you after the supers. How about this, Larry? We'll do the supers, then we'll talk a little divisional round. Hopefully your mind will be jogged and we'll get to it.
Go Cats, get 'em Cats, go get 'em Cats. All right, there you go. Joseph Ernberg says trade Brock Purdy, then trade back and build around Tanner Mordecai.
That's just that easy.
It's just that easy. What if Tanner Mordecai, after all this, was wound up being like better than Brock Purdy?
What if Tanner Mordecai is the greatest football player of all time, Larry? Do you ever even think of that? Did you ever?
What if Tanner Mordecai became better than Tom Brady at some point, and we're just sitting here in 2025 in the pre-Tanner Mordecai era?
What if Tanner Mordecai were the Michael Jordan of Tom Brady's? Did you ever even think of that? Probably not.
What if Tanner Mordecai was literally the greatest quarterback that ever lived, and we just didn't realize it yet?
Luke Fickle stood on the table for that guy. He knew. He believed.
He said, that's the guy. Fuji Simeon 13. Colts are hosting a home game in Berlin. Possible Niner Colt road game in Berlin.
Yeah,
Larry and Damon doing Wake Up in Berlin, and Larry and Damon at Oktoberfest. Man, I've heard the beer in Germany is even stronger.
So here's what we're doing, Larry. If this game is in Berlin, we're going full Lederhosen. We're going Lederhosen.
I don't even know what that means.
You don't know what Lederhosen are?
No.
It's the traditional German garb. It's
for women?
It's overalls for Germans, basically.
Oh, okay. Look at that.
Yeah,
and I'm part German. You think I would know that? I would have that.
You're a cultured man. You're a man of distinction. You get out of Walnut Creek enough to know what Lederhosen are, right?
No, I really don't. I'm sitting there watching too much film of Armand Membo.
Hey, somebody's got to break down the Sun Belt. It's not going to be me.
Exactly. Fuji Simeon says, sorry to bring up baseball. Mets and Alonso are done with contract talks, and the Giants and Posey should do whatever it takes to come to a deal to sign the polar bear.
Get him. Get him. Finish fourth in the NL West with your polar bear. Go get him.
First of all, you're not winning anyway because you got the Dodgers junior as far as the division.
Wait until they sign Sasaki. I bet you it happens this week.
Dodgers are going to get Sasaki?
Yeah.
Yeah, the Giants are not getting Sasaki. But my whole thing is, dude, build a team that's worthy of watching because the season starts in March and goes until October. That's a lot of summertime hours. That's a lot of radio in the car. How hard is it to understand, Giants? Build an exciting, compelling, fun to watch team. I don't care about effective. You're not winning shit anyway. Give me exciting. I want to see an exciting team. I don't expect you to beat the Dodgers. In fact, I know that you cannot. So stop telling me that you're going with Flores and Wade and Yaz and all these donkeys who are not that great. Go get somebody who's fun to watch. Why is that so hard for them to understand? Go get fun to watch players. Effective nothingness. I don't want to see anymore. The Farhan regime was a train wreck of garbage. He got one lucky year, and the rest of it was just a bunch of no-name guys looking bad, going nowhere.
Tom Verducci, I think, did as much to end the Farhan regime as any internal decision did when he came out with that article. Remember where he said, it's not enough to just be bad. It's another thing to be boring. And the Giants have become boring. And that was, I mean, that when Larry Bear was reading that, his hands probably started shaking. He got so mad reading that because that's going to affect ticket sales.
They had to cancel their fan fest, Damon, because nobody went to it. So now they just we have a rotating fan fest. Why? Because we don't want to have one fan fest that nobody shows up to. So we'll have a bunch of fan fests. We won't film them, and we'll just claim it's a success.
Right. Yeah. The fan fest that I was at when I was at KNBR. Oh my God.
Monster.
55,000 people down at the ballpark, sitting in the stands, watching them, the main stage, and upstairs you'd be in the Virgin Club section doing an interview with Bochy and Brian Wilson. And it would be like packed like sardines in there to hear that.
Yeah, like 11 deep. People, bodies 11 deep standing around on the mezzanine to watch, Ron Wotus talk about the possibility of infield practice.
Right. And it's I am talking to Dave Greshner about how to tape an ankle, and I'm
interviewing Dr. Akazuki or something. Dr. Murray, come on in. I told you, I'm up there on FanFest one year and I'm bombing. I'm just bombing. I'm on as you said, I'm on the Virgin America stage up on the, I did my hour down below on the main stage. Now I'm up top hosting an interview. And I said to a guy, I'm like, yeah, how you guys doing? Larry Krueger here. Just crickets, nothing, and trying to joke, nothing, everything just bombing. And then out of nowhere I go, and by the way, I don't know if I mentioned this, but my sleep number is 65 and my wife's is 55. Howling. Like I get all of a sudden I'm like, it's Eddie Murphy raw, it's like all of a sudden people are just losing it. I mean, so it's amazing that people remember taglines.
So go to that sleep number bit.
Go to the sleep number. When you're failing, go to commercial bits. It works. I'm going to share the screen one more time because there is one giant thing that I thought was interesting. Get your quick thought on this. This is an article that's out, and it was about an article that was on Bleacher Report. It says Giants projected blockbuster would land Vladdy Guerrero Jr. for 3-player package. When you read the story, it basically Friday, Bleacher Report Zachary Reimer proposed that the Giants could send a package of Camilo Doval, Marco Luciano, and their last number 1 pick, I believe, James Tibbs, the Florida State kid, to Toronto for Guerrero Jr. It says the Giants have been in a spending mood recently, committing $333 million to Matt Chapman and Willie Adames. This could conceivably make Guerrero an extension target. Anyway, the deal would not include Bryce Eldridge, the Giants' best prospect. They're unwilling to part with him. What do you think? I mean, I would make that trade. I don't want to trade Tibbs because I like Tibbs as a hitter. But you know what? Vladdy Jr. is exactly the kind of bat and presence that, as I just described, the Giants are not fun to watch because they don't have anybody like this. Go make this deal. I don't need the polar bear. I just need somebody like the polar bear. Give me polar bear. Give me Vladdy. Give me a big-time guy. Camilo, Luciano, and Tibbs. It seems like a high price, but you know what? I think if I could get Tibbs out of there and throw somebody else in there, I would try, but I want to make that trade. I want Guerrero Jr. What do you think?
Camilo Doval, I wouldn't want to come off of him, but he showed enough oil leaking to where, those 3 guys for Vladimir Guerrero, instantly. I make that trade without reservation, and I would do that instantly.
Yeah, I mean, that gives you a major bat in the middle of your lineup and a drawing card and everything else.
It gives you somebody behind Matt Chapman, for fuck's sakes. Seriously.
I did see that. Did I see Susan Slusser say that Matt Chapman's the best third baseman in baseball on MLB yesterday? Fuji Simeon 13 says, if the Niners play one road game this upcoming season in either Mexico City, London, or Berlin, what destination would you most likely travel to the game?
How about this? We're in for all three. I don't care which one it is. If the Niners are going international, Larry, we're going.
You know what? The people that have gone to Mexico City, I've heard Mexico City is just like a bucket list experience. Like, you got to check it out. But it also is like the home of the greatest sewage in the history of the world. So I don't know. It's sinking into the center of the earth. It
won't fall there while we're there.
It won't sink all the way into the center of the earth while we're there. But yeah, any of the three, I'd love to be there. Anthony Licked Scorpion says, obviously Larry didn't watch David Lombardi explain $61 million for Brock, and it's not a hard cap. Watch his video. Damon is right. I did not. Anthony, you're right. It's obvious that I did not watch.
He's watching Sunbelt free safeties. He doesn't have time to watch anything else.
Did you watch this, Damon?
No, but so if Brock were making $61 million a year next year, his cap hit would not be $61 million for the 49ers is basically what it is. Again, the numbers are malleable. They're manipulatable. So the cap is very real and very imaginary all at the same time. So again, everyone just needs to relax. It's not like, how about this? The 49ers are going to raise season tickets by 8% no matter what they do. So it doesn't matter what they pay Brock. It's not going to come out of your money. You're going to show up. You're going to be there.
But that's not. But here's the thing. It's not about their money. It's about the money that is left to spend on the rest of their team.
Right.
So yeah, it is. You can mold it and this and that, but it's
everyone thinks they're a freaking GM these days. That's what's ruined talking sports.
Okay. Fuji Simeon says, when do the NFL viewer numbers, TV ratings, revenue numbers come out so teams know how much the 2025 NFL salary cap will increase? A good NFL capologist will look at the NFL revenue base and be able to have a real good guess of where it is. Now, of where they're going to be revenue-wise and where the cap's going to move to. There's new revenue streams like gambling and this and that do change the equation sometimes somewhat dramatically. But like if you ask Parag, him and his assistants having a real good idea of where the cap is and what kind of growth can be expected in what years.
The cap went up an NFL record, $30 million, something, $28 million. It was the biggest cap bump over year in NFL history. Watch this year to be something similar. Because, oh, by the way, the other little story that's out there is Roger Goodell's already talking about how he'd be happy to sacrifice one preseason game to add one more regular season game. I saw that as a little bit of a story that is out there today. And, of course, the NFL wants to do that because every single time they put a regular season game on TV, no matter where it is, streaming, network television, no matter when it is, and no matter who it features, they have 26 million people watching that.
I mean, really, if you said to me, really, like take a good look at where the NFL is, where our culture is, and try to, come up with a where's it going idea. I really believe that football has gotten to a point where it's so popular and it so drives eyeballs that they're going to find a way to change what they have into something greater. And what I mean by that is I could see a time when rosters are quite a bit larger, that there's a lot more variable to what players play. Like, let's just say each team's got 53 guys on a roster plus 16 on the practice squad right now. Let's say the average NFL team, I don't know, I'm just throwing out a number. Let's say the average NFL team plays 75 guys or whatever over the course of a full calendar year or full season year. You grow that number. So now you're spreading out. Yeah, you're headed towards 20 games of regular season. Trim your preseason down, grow your roster size, have more flexibility about, using your taxi squad or practice squad to make sure that your more injured players can come back off injured reserve, things like that make it a little bit more fluid, and then man it, and then have more games of football, and then just have those spread out over, have larger rosters, use more bodies, use more people. You already are starting to see it, Damon. When a team plays on Sunday, they'll almost always, and they play the next Thursday, there almost always will be some group of 4 or 5 players that either didn't play in the first game or don't play in the second game. And they kind of mix it around. Or this back got the lion's share of the carries this week, but next week it's a different guy.
Well, I
think that's what it's going towards because it's so valuable. The programming is so coveted.
Well, and look, the more eyeballs come, the better the football is. So when you have down years for offenses and you have poor quarterback play, that will make people walk away faster than if you got a, pinball game happening and everyone can't turn it off. So the NFL knows that. And by having more players under one umbrella functioning, there's a better chance for continuity. And that's what football really is. I've heard Steve Young say this all the time. You used to have 11 guys on offense get to know each other over the course of the 5, 6, 7 years. They sort of all played together. Like maybe 1 or 2 pieces changes in your 11 starters. But it's the 8 of you have been playing together for freaking years now. And that's how everyone got so good. And that's why football was so sexy. There's so much movement. I think the NFL does need to get away with its arbitrary restriction of player availability. Like this, he's cleared to come back from IR. Well, everyone who can come back from IR should be cleared to play. It shouldn't be an imaginary, totally made up number of guys who can come back to play. Take your roster and grow it from 53 men on game day to 60 men on game day. Make it easier to have more depth ready to go should something happen in a game. And now this guy got hurt, and now his backup got hurt, and now you don't have to risk your quarterback getting hurt because you're getting an off the street player.
How about this too? Here, and to that end, how about this? How about even if you didn't grow the roster size on game day, let's say you wanted to maintain that, but how about if you grew your practice squad from 16 guys to 35 guys?
Absolutely.
And then all of a sudden, you've got more guys in the system, and you've got more, because what happens now is there's 2 processes going on every week in the NFL. You got the coaching staff over here preparing their players, getting them ready to play Sunday. And then you got the personnel staff, a lot of times with the coaches also involved, working guys out. During here, we got 9 guys coming in on a Tuesday. Well, you wouldn't have to do as much of that if you had larger practice squads. And now it's like you suffer 3-4 injuries, you got to have a 7-8 player workout at your facility to replace that guy. Eliminate that whole process by just growing the practice squads and having more players, under each roof. And
think
then
of all the moving parts time that you would save. Like you just said, you got to work out 7 guys. That's a 6-hour block on a Thursday.
And all the cost of flying in 7 guys. You got to put them up at a hotel. And every team in the league's got to do this too. So it's like, as soon as you get to like October and the injuries start to mount, you got dudes flying all over the place, working out, and they're here for 3 days, and they're there for a week, and they're there. Screw all that. In the Canadian League, we used to have a negotiation list. And basically it was a list of I think it might have been 80 guys. And it was like 80 guys that we own the rights to. Now, they didn't work out with us. They weren't in our facility every day. But they were 80 guys that we own the rights to. So, and every team had 80 guys on their what they called the negotiation list. And so you didn't have, you could work out guys, but you only could work out guys that were on your negotiation list. So that, 80 times the number of teams in the league, that's how many people were already kind of accounted for. So, I don't know. It's just there's ways to, graduate beyond the mom and pop days into a 20-game schedule, and more football is going to be demanded, and that's okay, but it has to be spread over more time, more bodies, done right, safety. You know what I mean? It can't just be like, oh, no, you just get out there and suck it up for 5 more games. No. Okay. Fuji Simeon, do you think the Niners
already did it?
We got that one. Nathan McFadden. How about 2024 AA Wyatt Milliam, West Virginia tackle at 43? I'll look into him. I have looked at West Virginia. There's a couple West Virginia players I really like. Cole Taylor, the tight end. I've heard people suggest Wyatt Milliam. He's a little on the undersized side, but I'll take a look at him. I haven't studied him. Fuji Simeon, Larry, you don't need to do all the calculations and charts yourself as an SI Hello Kitty. You can just hire a Reardon math guy to do all that stuff for you.
The fun never ends between you and Fuji. It's just
that would make sense, except the Reardon math guy didn't get a good enough math score to get into SI. Fuji Simeon says Roki is out on the Padres. Dodgers and Toronto left. Come on,
he's already a Dodger.
It's a Dodger.
He's a Dodger.
Seriously, this guy's
a Dodger this whole time. He's already.
And if the guy goes to Toronto, then what the hell? I mean, I don't know what to say. We'll enjoy Toronto. I mean, seriously, if you want to go to Toronto, pretty good movie, by the way. The Man from Toronto. Did you see that?
No.
Oh, it's really good. It's funny. It's Hart. What's his name? The little guy who's always on the commercials with LeBron.
Oh, Kevin Hart.
Kevin Hart. He's the star of it. Him and Woody Harrelson. Lawless Light. Why did Kyle take a kicker in the third round? These are the questions.
We don't know.
We don't know. Fuji Simeon. Larry Damon. The Bruce Mahoney is 5 sports: football, men and women basketball, baseball, and girls volleyball. Well, first of all, SIU wasn't even a girls' school, didn't even have girls, and when I was there, so yeah, it's not. It's football, basketball, and baseball for the boys. As far as what the girls do, I don't know, but it's football, basketball, and baseball for the boys. The girls did win last night though too. Fuji Simeon, please, Larry, no more singing evil SI fight songs. A red and blue. All right, that's going to do it for us. Damon, what do you got cooking at 11 today? 35 minutes from right now.
Yeah, I'm doing nothing actually today.
Okay.
We've got,
You're doing it well, though.
I'm done. I'm doing nothing incredibly well today, but Jillian's back after a little work trip. We got some errands to run this afternoon, so it's a busy Bruce household day. No 11 o'clock show. Thanks to Ike Sandwiches, Bet US, and the Dubliner West Portal. Thanks for let me get the promos in. And then obviously, Larry, the whole point of the thumbnail today was we were going to talk about the divisional rounds, and we haven't at all.
Well, let me just say this. I have a theme for this weekend, and here it is. Roof, 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 roof. Go for the dogs. It's a dog weekend, Damon. I really believe that the underdogs are going to prevail across the board this weekend. Take your underdogs, take your points. I want the Texans. The one I don't feel great about is the Texans, but I'll take the Texans in the 8. I'll take the Commanders in the 9.5. I'll take the Rams in the 6.5, and I'll take the Bills. Believe it or not, are getting 1 at home against Baltimore. All 4 underdogs cover.
We'll see. We'll see.
That's my call.
I love a good factoid. The Eagles are just the second team since the merger to ever have the NFL rushing title winner and the number 1 team in total defense. The only other team to do that was the 92 Dallas Cowboys, and they won the Super Bowl. Now, I like the Rams to upset the Eagles, but there's a little indicator. It could be the Eagles' year. Sirianni's got a ton of pressure on him. I was talking with JT the Brick, and I got to, it wasn't my idea, but I got to agree with him when he said it out loud.
What did he say? Raiders are getting Ben Johnson. I'd be so happy for Brick if Ben Johnson went to the Raiders.
He thinks it's going to happen.
Brick's been living in hell.
A little bit of an awkward, let's just say, confliction of interest for Tom Brady doing that Lions game with Ben Johnson being apparently the Raiders are about to make him an offer for a first-year head coach that's going to bother other franchises. Like, that's how much of a you can't say no to this offer they're about to put in front of Ben Johnson, who obviously is the first pick for all these franchises looking for head coaches. But if the Chiefs do this, because, they just had the most poo-pooed upon 16-1 regular season of all time, or where they finished 14-2, whatever. I don't even know what their record was at the end, because everyone kept on saying, well, it's the worst of that ever. And everyone's got a little Chiefs fatigue.
15-2. 15-2.
15-2. Okay.
But they lost in week 18, so technically they were 15-1. The only real team that beat them all year was Buffalo. That's the truth.
If the Chiefs do this, they're the greatest football team of all time. They knock the 49ers dynasty off the mantle. They knock the Dallas Cowboy dynasty, the Pittsburgh Steelers dynasty off of the conversation. The Patriots had so much success spread out over so long. A 3-time Super Bowl champion, 3 in a row, first to ever do it, with absolutely almost no threat to them at any point in time over the course of 3 years of just football excellence. Yeah, they're probably the greatest football team of all time if the Chiefs do this. And if Mahomes really does win 3 in a row here, that's the only thing that you could say, well, Brady never did that. Joe never did that. No one's ever done that. So it would put Mahomes into a stratosphere that only he occupies, and probably will only be the one to ever occupy, because it's just remarkable. Winning 1 Super Bowl is a really hard thing to do. Ask a Niner fan if you don't believe me.
It's a great article, by the way. I would encourage anybody to go, if you're not a member of The Athletic, go read The Athletic. Jeff Howe has a fantastic piece out on the Chiefs, and it's really a comparison about, comparing the Chiefs to the Patriots, and how the Patriots didn't just beat teams, but they forced them into like making moves to try to keep up with the Patriots that ultimately derailed them. And that's really what's happened with Kansas City. It's really quite amazing. I mean, their division has imploded around them. If you look at the numbers of coaches and GMs that have been fired by the Raiders and the Chargers and the Broncos just since the Chiefs run, it's unbelievable. Yeah. Look at the Niners. The Niners lose the Super Bowl to the Chiefs. 20 months later, they're trading 3 draft picks and 4 draft picks for Trey Lance, and they fucked up. The Cleveland Browns lost to the Chiefs one year in the playoffs, and they were so desperate to, get over the top that they were like, we can't do it with what we got. So what did they do? They kissed off Baker Mayfield and traded for Deshaun Watson, and made the worst trade in the history of the NFL. So, and set their franchise back, who knows how far, because they've got cap problems. They've guaranteed money for Mahomes. He's got a torn Achilles. They screwed up.
You mean Watson? You said Mahomes there, but yes.
Oh yeah, I meant Deshaun Watson. They traded for Deshaun Watson. So not only are the Chiefs the best team going, but they also are forcing these other teams to keep firing people.
They've wreaked havoc on this.
And then what's happened is they have continuity. So Reed, Dave Taub, Spags, the same defensive lineman in Jones, the same quarterback in Mahomes, same tight end in Kelsey. They have all this continuity. Football, you need continuity. And then all these teams that are trying to compete with them are killing their continuity by making all these dramatic changes to try to run with the Chiefs.
Right.
And now here you are. It's 2025, and you're right. They're on the verge of a three-peat, and they haven't just beaten the competition. They have beaten the competition so bad that the competition is now kind of made the kinds of moves that have damaged their franchises.
They've obliterated the competition is what they've done. And
everybody else is falling apart. Like Trevor Lawrence was coming, and then Lou Anarumo was the guy that was going to stop them. Then he got fired. I mean, it's just they're so good that it forces you to look for ways to compete with them, and then you draft Trey Lance, and then all of a sudden you're like, oh my God, we're screwed.
If you'd like set him back. If you'd like proof that there's no amount of success or money that'll ever allow you to buy class, have you seen the names of them Mahomes kids?
Yeah, it's like they're smoking a lot of grass over there.
It's awful. It's all
it's like
A hippie would have come up with better names than this. Like, so first of all, I'm just going to
Harmony something and something or something.
You freaking wish it were. Like, that would have been fine if it had been harmony, lyric, and song. Like, at least that would have been hippie. Their kids are named Gold, Silver, and Bronze.
Yeah,
that's awful. That's awful. Hey, Bronze Mahomes. Would you?
Well, I mean, gold. Is it gold or golden?
Either way, it's terrible.
Golden is not a bad name. I don't think. I mean, I wouldn't name my kid that, of course. I went with, Christopher, Ben, and Kevin, and Anna. Those are my
normal
kids.
Names.
Normal names. But because names to me should be classic. I always hated the fad names. Names. Like, oh, there's 9 Madisons in my class. What? There's 9 Morgans in my. I've got 14 friends all named Caitlin. Really? I mean,
Dakota. That'll come and go.
What was the popular name? There was a lot of Jennifers. Like my sister's name is Jennifer, and there were a lot of Jennifers in my era of high school.
All I know is that there will be an awful lot of Britneys in a nursing home soon enough. There were way too many Britneys out there, and Brittany Mahomes, by the way. There you go. Take the bubblehead to
golden, not bad, but bronze. Nothing says, I've got. Issues more than my name is Bronze.
If they have a fourth, the kid's going to have to be like aluminum or platinum or something. I don't know.
Ribbon. He's just known as Ribbon.
Ribbon Mahomes.
You get the gold, you get the silver, you get the bronze, and what's fourth place? Well, you get a ribbon. You get a nice ribbon.
We need a so have you met our other child? Anthem, national anthem. This is tracksuit.
We got one more here from Fuji. He says, is there a show on Monday?
Yeah, great question, Fuji. Thank you very much. And the answer is yes. Larry and I will be coming to you on Martin Luther King Day. We will get your week started. There's a Warrior Celtics matinee that day, Larry, we can talk a little bit about too. So we will be getting together and having Wake Up on Monday as regularly scheduled. And of course, Wake Up, as always, is brought to you by this wonderful location right here. Look at her. Look at Sam's Chowder House. Place is the absolute best, Larry.
The smell. I mean, the only thing I wish if this video could have a scent. I mean, the smell of Sam's Chowder House is the greatest restaurant smell of all time.
As soon as you walk in, it's about to happen.
I mean, it's there's something about the combination of open air to the ocean, seafood, and fire.
Yes.
You know what I mean? What is it? I mean, what is that smell? It's like, it's an unbelievable, it's like fresh, but it's also, I don't know how to describe it, man. It's really, really, really good, but it's like seafood, fire, the smell of the ocean. I don't know what it is, but it's an amazing smell in that
cacophony of sensory overload. It's so good. By the way, Fuji sent me fourth kid would be named Participation. Yeah, participation. Good job, Fuji. So yeah, we will be back on Monday. Get yourself to Sam's this weekend. Enjoy the divisional round. Again, we got a kind of, bad games last week. Hopefully this week sets up to be a great weekend of football. It promises to be. The storylines are thick and rich. And I mean, Mahomes and Lamar and, Allen, and with the Eagles trying to,
Stafford,
have this all happen. Jaden Daniels being so the Commanders are 100% sitting at the table playing with house money. Like, the Commanders should go into Detroit, the loosest football team on the planet. They have already so thoroughly overshot whatever the goal for this year could be. They should be so carefree. The Lions should be worried about it. If I'm the
I'll say this. We're going
possessions, dude. I got I got fake punts. I am emptying the kitchen sink in Detroit if I'm the Commanders.
There's no pressure. Last week, I guess Texans beating Chargers, a little bit of a surprise, but they were the home team. The Ravens beating the Steelers, not a surprise. The Bills beating the Broncos, not a surprise. The Eagles beating the Packers, not a surprise. I wasn't surprised that the Commanders beat the Bucks. The Rams beating the Vikings was the one real surprise. Okay, so we had one real surprise.
They did it. I mean, they whooped their ass.
Oh, it was amazing. It was incredible. But the playoffs usually bring us surprises. This week, if the Texans beat the Chiefs, major surprise. If the Commanders beat the Lions, major surprise. If the Rams beat the Eagles in Philly, major surprise. Only the Ravens-Bills game won't be, a major surprise who wins, because both those teams are pretty damn good.
Usually have 3 home team wins and 1 road team is the shocker. You usually get 1 road team spoiling the punch.
Who's your road team? If you could pick one road team?
It's the Rams. I think the Rams are going to beat the Eagles.
Dude, I agree. I love the Eagles, but the Rams D-line is playing amazing, and you're not going to speed up or intimidate Stafford. And Hurts has not been the same guy all year. I'm doing a stream in 6 minutes with Chase Sr., who covers the Eagles, and we're gonna get into that game a little bit, because I just think the Rams have a great shot there.
Well, and look, I think that one team is galvanized by the LA tragic fires that have disrupted so many lives, and that galvanizes a locker room. And we all know that Eagles locker room is holding on by a thread, right? Like, those guys don't like each other. There's a lot of conjecture. Look, A.J. Brown doesn't bring a book to the sideline to let you know how much he respects the entire operation. That's for sure. So I just think that there's weird forces at play in this game.
I saw odds from Jimmy Shapiro on what's the next book that A.J. Brown will bring to the sideline. That's going to do it for us. Hope everybody enjoys some good football this weekend. Go out there and, don't tear an ACL for good old Trent Baalke. And just know this, that, wherever you are, just know that Shad Khan is somewhere thinking about firing my ass.
Oh, I thought that was going to be the cutoff point. I
was going to give
anyway, if you're going to go to Sam's, get in the Miata, have a nice top-down afternoon. It's a little chilly outside. It's going to be very cold, so wear a sweater, but put the top down, let the hair blow, and have a good time. Go to Sam's. Thanks for watching. Like and subscribe.
I'm going to be watching the Eagles and the Rams, and Krug, I need to put a little wager on it. Do you know somebody who can get me down?
Ralph, my guy pays, but my guy collects.
Oh, I don't know. That sounds a little scary.
No, I was going to say, you came back. One of my favorite nights, I'm driving and I'm listening to Ralph. I'm running a little bit late, but they're going a little bit long for whatever reason, so I'm not really panicked. And Ralph is sitting there. He's like,
so don't tell me the score of the Monday Night Football game. I'm taping it, and when I get home, I don't want to listen to it. Leave it out of the update. I'm taping Monday Night Football.
Circus.